Good evening, Holliston. Welcome to the December 22nd meeting of the Select Board. We have an action-packed agenda, and to get started, we have a special commemoration, I suppose you could say. And I just wanted to invite up Haley Fetro, who's the coach of the cheerleaders who were at a national championship. And you just tell us a little bit about what happened and introduce them. Yeah.
Great. So I'm Haley Fetro. I'm one of the coaches. There's three of us. With this 12U squad, we have four squads with Holliston Youth Cheer. And this year, our 12U, which are made up of 5th and 6th graders, started practicing July 28th and really started right from the, close to the end of the summer. And they practiced the entire summer and then the school year, and were able to advance to nationals, which is a huge accomplishment. They had to make it through 4 competitions. They started at locals in October, and then they went to states, and then they went to regionals in Connecticut. And then we went to nationals where we had to compete twice to make it into the final round, which they weren't eliminated, which was amazing. And so out of 15 teams at nationals that were eligible, they came in 5th place. And so we were so proud of them.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah. Congratulations. That's so wonderful. So you're not on our agenda, but we wanted to give you an opportunity to, we wanted to say congratulations. See if Tina and Damon have anything they want to add.
Well, it's a big group. Yeah. Would love a photo op.
Yes.
I wonder if we could have all the team line up under here to get a photo.
Yeah,
sure.
that'd be great.
We could do that.
And if I could real quick, so the shirts they're all wearing, I want to just note, we were so amazed. We had 32 businesses, small businesses, larger businesses in town that supported our team. They came in within a week and hugely supported us. And so we put together a sponsor t-shirt, which we have here, and we have one for each of you.
Oh, thank you.
And then we wore on check-in day and really tried to highlight throughout our time in Florida those businesses that supported us and really jumped to the call so quickly.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Damon, anything?
Yeah, I've been following online. There's been lots of posts. It's really, really incredible. And I still owe you a word of thanks anyway for some past help. So thank you. This is really incredible. I mean, for a small town like Holliston to make it this far shows a lot of great team chutzpah. You guys are incredible.
Thank you. Thanks.
So,
great.
Congratulations. And why don't you
awesome.
Come on up, and we're just going to mute for a second just so that way we can get ourselves organized here.
You can come either way around the table if you like.
Move the chairs. Move it into the hall. See you later.
Is there anyone else in the hallway?
Come on in. Anybody wants to come in?
I think Coach Dave should come recording.
All right, let's see. Oh, sorry. You guys no. I am not important in this equation at all.
Thank you. One more, guys. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Great job.
Thank you. Nice job, ladies. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Bye. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Great.
Still owe you a job.
Yes. Thank you.
Are you free now? Are you getting...
I am. Right now, I'm free. Yeah.
Right.
Right now. Between now and the 5th. Okay. Nice job, ladies.
Just making sure we're set up for whoever's coming in here.
I'm thinking at least 4.
Well, I know there's 3 of them here. 4. There's at least 4 here. There might be more. I think Hillary, Dan, started. I said 10 minutes, and it was 5. We're gonna get started on our agenda. And what are you doing here?
Don't worry, I got kicked out of my own house then.
Okay, fair enough. So whoever wants to come up, preferably all of you, can come on up. We'll make room here so we can have a conversation. I know you guys posted for tonight. You can come on up. The school committee is here, and the superintendent as well.
We don't have anyone on the Zoom.
Okay.
We from the school committee.
Yeah.
Dr. Jordan and Mr. List.
Yeah, come on up, and just be aware of microphones. And just before we get started, everybody could just introduce themselves, because your backs often will be to the audience, so people who know who is here. And I see a couple other people here too that we can introduce as well. So just go through and introduce yourselves so they can know who you are.
Dan Alford.
Tracy Fletcher. Hillary Bresnahan.
Sarah Fitzgerald.
Susan Kuska.
Franco Gora.
And we have David Jordan and David List on the call. And good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're excited about the news that we got from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, that Holliston has been invited into the eligibility period. It's like the pre-dance dance before the dance. And so we wanted to invite everybody here to start a conversation to talk about some of these things, because this is a town-wide effort. And so having the select board and the school committee talking and making sure that we're all on the same page, I think, is important throughout this process. So I think just to start out, like first thing I'll say too is right now I'm not going to be looking for public comment tonight from people. I mean, certainly at that time, they certainly can interject. At the time for public comment, they can interject, but we're not going to be looking for people to speak up during this conversation. There will be plenty of opportunities. This is going to be years of conversations. Probably people will get sick of talking about it, but we're excited that we're getting started on everything. So to start out here, I know one of the things that that's going on is we're in the prep period for Module 1, as I understand it, and working with the MSBA, I know David Jordan had spoken to the point person, and I just wanted to sort of kick it to him just for now to sort of understand a little bit about, because I know there's some questions on like what we can do because it's early, and there's certain things that we have to wait for the eligibility period, but I know he had some conversation, and I'd just like to sort of hear from him about what kinds of things like he had talked to them about as potential starting off for the next few months, because our eligibility period begins on June 1st, 2026. So David, if you could just give us a little context of some of that conversation you had with the MSBA on some of the things that we can talk about and we can get started on now.
Yeah, I mean, a few of us, including some of the folks in the room, were at the kind of initial kickoff that was on the 16th, which was pretty much a pretty generic overview of the process. But coming out of that, as we did learn who our project coordinator is with the MSBA, who is Julia Long, but also if there was potential interest from the town pursuing a feasibility study or feasibility study funding before our eligibility period begins on June 1st, that reach out to them and have a conversation as far as that. So I did speak to Julia. MSBA did indicate that we can, Town of Holliston can pursue eligibility, feasibility funding before the June 1st eligibility period begins. Their one caveat is that we keep them kind of in the loop on that process, and they have some kind of template language they prefer to be used for votes, for warrants, but just kind of keep them part of the process to make sure everything kind of runs smoothly for them. They also said that the town is more than welcome to kind of put together a school building committee and kind of have that before the eligibility period begins. But they can't. The committee cannot turn in or complete any of the kind of first requirements that we have to turn in yet. So once the eligibility period begins, I think our first due date of things is kind of in that first 60 days and up.
Uh-oh. I think we lost David. Dr. Jordan. Okay. So we can pivot slightly.
I'll have a question for him. But
Sure.
perhaps there are folks at the table who know the answer.
You cannot turn in or complete any of the objectives yet.
Okay.
It actually says that it's part.
Okay. So we lost you for a second there, Dr. Jordan. So, but we get the gist that we have to do certain things at certain times, and we have to do a lot of the stuff during the eligibility period. But one of the things that we can get ahead of is if we wanted to set aside money, appropriate money for a feasibility study in May, before the eligibility period, we could do so provided we use the right language and the right approach to it. I know Tina has a question, but I wanted to say just sort of like I want this to be a conversation. So if anybody has something, I don't want this to be, I'm certainly talking a lot and I apologize, but any additions or questions or stuff like that, we can certainly have that. And there's a couple things that I think we need to get out of the way and start on tonight. But I know Tina has a question. If anyone else wants to ask or interject to Dr. Jordan, we can do that at this time.
Dr. Jordan, just if we could circle back around to the first comment that you made about we could advance forward to seek feasibility funding. Could you just provide just a little bit of detail on that? You're talking about raise and appropriate through action at town meeting, as opposed to grant funding through the MSBA program.
Correct. Yeah. So the first kind of funding portion is the feasibility and schematic design, and that is something that the town self-funds. The reimbursement happens on the back end, the end of the entirety of the project is where that there are different funding cycles that happen throughout the course of the project. But the feasibility study is something that we self-fund, but that is reimbursable at whatever percentage they end up identifying for us.
It all just gets
into the total.
pushed together into the total. So they cut you a check for half of it at some point, but
Gotcha.
it comes back.
Yes. Sarah, as the chair, do you want to say anything before we get into things?
I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Okay. I think one of the things that I think we need to do here, I think, we want to talk about a little bit about a school building committee. Obviously, we're not building that right now, but I think we need to be looking at some of what that consists of and what that looks like for everybody. And we have a little bit of runway to get there, because I think it's 60 days after we're invited into the eligibility period. We would have to name it and identify the people who are involved, but we can start talking about it and thinking about it now on what that looks like. And I think the other thing I'd like to sort of talk about too is, I know David started off, talking to the MSBA, is are we comfortable having David sort of be for now, until we have a school building committee, be the person that we can talk to, because I personally think it's a good idea, and please interject if I'm speaking out of turn here, that if we kind of centralize communications from people in town, so we're not inundating this MSBA person with questions, and in that way there's one person who kind of has the answer. So if we, anybody has a question, we can go to him and talk it through. Is that reasonable to everybody to say that? I think that is, but if anybody has another.
Makes sense. Well, I would think that you would work closely with Frank and make sure that both sides and everyone are
absolutely
simpatico.
No, absolutely. I think Frank and David have certainly conversed about this in the past too. So, Frank, do you have any? I think you had some materials you said to kick off the talk
Yeah,
about?
I mean, we've talked through a little bit of them already. I basically just have the sort of the calendar of events that we need to, the major deliverables that we'll need to complete by February 26, 2027 in order to get to Module 2. 8, I think.
8 or 9 or something like that, yeah.
So, Ben, you just mentioned, we'll need to have the school building committee in place by July 31st of this year. And then there'll be a number of sort of I would think more school-focused tasks that'll need to be completed before the end of the summer.
Okay.
And I think we could form the school, or you could, because the select board action, could form a school building committee beforehand.
Yes.
It may have to be formalized again after the eligibility period. Alternatively, if you weren't comfortable with that, I mean, the select board could form a building committee that effectively was still just looking at the schools, and then that morphs into the school building committee, just so that you can start having a formal organization that's working on it as we. Yeah. Because obviously, if you look at the letter, every district that was invited into the eligibility period got slotted in to a period, right? March 2nd, April 1st, et cetera. And we just happen to be June 1st. So I think they just spread that out because of the workload.
Sure.
And so I think that I was just speaking for myself. I mean, we would certainly be very interested in doing as much work ahead of time, pre-work, if you will, so that way we can really hit the ground, and maybe we don't need the full 270, and we can get, because a lot of these things need to go back for a vote to the MSBA, and they don't. They meet more regularly, I think, in the fall and in the early spring, but not so much over. So just making sure that we can get on their agenda when we need to.
Yes, absolutely. And I think along that line, forming a school building committee beforehand, I think, makes sense. I think
I'm not saying tonight, by the way.
We can't. I mean, there's a lot of hats that have to be.
No, just being clear. I'm
we're
incredibly excited, but
not yes. But I think one of the things that I was looking at, and some other towns have done this, is having a memorandum of understanding between the select board, the school committee, and a school building committee, so everybody kind of understands sort of who's doing what. So that way, it's sort of along the line, having David as sort of a point person now makes sense, and then maybe down the road, obviously, it would probably be the school building committee doing a lot of things and making recommendations and to various parties. And I think it would be important for us to sort of just all understand the roles that everybody's playing and things like that, so we're not stepping on each other's toes, and then also we can make sure that everybody kind of knows what we're doing and who's doing any particular things.
I have one question about David being point of contact, Dr. Jordan. He would be representing the eligible applicant, which in the case of the MSBA program is the town of Holliston. It's the executive board, so it's the chief executive officer. It's you and the town manager and the select board. So I think that's just one thing, David, Dr. Jordan, if you could just speak to communication. So when you're acting on behalf of the eligible applicant as that point of contact, how do you see communication going? I'm confident you and our town manager have wide open lines of communication, but could you just speak to that a little bit, how acting on behalf of the eligible applicant to the town of Holliston, how that would go as you're having calls with and meetings with the MSBA contact Julia Long?
Yeah, I think Frank and I are in regular communication as this relates to this, but I think we're at the really early phases of this. I think what Ben indicated is once the committee is kind of put together, that's going to be a great vehicle for the way a lot of this communication funnels through, even if I'm receiving the initial email of certain things. But I don't anticipate me being a place where I'm trying to make any kind of decisions as much as just being a place that they can reach out to and contact me, and then I can funnel that, since it's managed or oversight by the select board, as I can funnel that over to Frank.
Yep. Okay.
It's a liaison position, not acting on behalf.
And until we're in the eligibility period, as far as I understand, there's not a lot of decision making. I mean, that board is making, and we'd certainly be involved in any, and the schools would be involved in any decisions that we're making here. I think one thing I think we should talk about, and if people are comfortable, is if we are moving forward with the school building committee, maybe we sort of break off and have a couple of us sort of talking through some of these things, and maybe starting to talk about a memorandum of understanding. I saw it, I want to say it was either Lexington or Hingham had it. I could be misspeaking there. Lexington's been on the news a lot, so I think, and we're not looking at a school like that.
I don't know if we want to do anything.
I'm not even, forget it. Forget I said Lexington. Let's not talk about that. But I think the idea is just make it, they had something along the line of just, here's who does what, here's how the relationship works, here's what the school building committee does, here's what the school committee does, and stuff like that. What do you guys think about doing something like that, like having a couple of us, like one of us and a couple of you, just sort of start talking through some of these things and putting some stuff together on maybe the memorandum, and then we can start thinking about how there's a lot. I mean, if you make the committee from the school building committee based on all the roles, it's like 15 or 20. There's quite a few. So hopefully we can have people wearing multiple hats, because I was on the Envisioning Future Holliston when it was 17 people, and it wasn't easy to get a quorum, and it wasn't easy to do a lot of work. So trying to narrow that focus a little bit, I think, would be impactful. And then having advisors, ex officio members, I think would be beneficial.
If I may,
yeah.
I have 3 comments on that. I'm looking at workload and flow, and I'm seeing the work to get to the seating of a school building committee, including things like defining the charge, the purpose and goals of the school building committee, a memorandum of understanding that sort of defines the process, and then the selection process itself of the members. So identifying who those categories will be, and then who's going to fill. So seeking the candidates. We've been through this before, in a way, not on a school building committee, but we've been through this, say, in the hiring of a town manager. It is a weeks to months long process. Mm-hmm. So just realistically, I'm thinking about, as we enter into budget season and preparing for town meeting, just that we're all having reasonable expectations on the ability to dedicate the time. I like the idea of a working group. I think that takes it away from an agenda item and keeps the boards focused on what they have to do. But I am cognizant of the amount of time that will go into doing it well. So perhaps that's an argument to do it early.
But I also think is the fact is we'd want to be able to seat that committee before June 1st. You could think about 6 months, basically, to get there. So, to that point, I think, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of work, but we have time.
Okay. If I might also, there are some very statutorily required positions.
Yes. Right.
And so you could seat a committee essentially with the statutorily required positions, and then the committee could actually act as to decide how many community people they want on there, and then even go do the work to find those community members, and then sort of put forward a list to the select board, who obviously controls the membership. So it could even be you form the committee, and the committee then starts to do the work that sort of, so you're not necessarily having to vet everybody.
Yeah, and I think yes, we certainly could do that, and I think maybe we start off with just sort of conversations a little bit about that, and then we can start to figure out what that looks like.
And just a point of clarification, the school building committee needs to be seated by what date?
July 31st? It's 60 days. It's 60 days after the start of the eligibility
30 days after eligibility period commencement date, and then another 60 days. Yeah.
So
I hear the June 1st. I hear the motivation, desire to start early. I'm looking forward benefit to that. So I think you mentioned seating them by June 1st. The benefit for that would. Oh, okay. The benefit for that is just we get a jump start on the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a ton of stuff to go on, and what exactly goes into the feasibility study, and all the stuff and then you have people who know they're going to be on this committee, or more than likely going to be on the final committee, who can start really spooling up and gearing up to understand the process.
I think starting earlier and starting to develop things earlier, I think getting too much information I don't think is a thing, and I think having the ability to have more time I think is good, rather than trying to rush and squeeze. If it's because when you look at the deadlines after the eligibility period start, there's a lot of them. There's quite a few deliverables within the first 270 days, and if we can sort of bring this forward a little bit sooner and start working on what we can earlier, I think benefits everybody.
And the 270 starts on June 1st.
Yes.
And if we're going to seek feasibility funding in May, probably should have a committee who has been looking at this before then.
Yeah, we'd like to try to have something there before then.
And the advantage of getting feasibility funding in May is
it's appropriated and done, if we can do it.
Are we required to have feasibility funding within the first 270 days?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So we'd have May and October is basically
Yeah.
the options.
Okay.
So
Thank
if we
you.
can
I know.
start in May.
You got the same visitor I had.
If we could start in May.
one
If we could,
fly.
yeah, the one
Fly
fly.
fly that
still
survived the
alive.
winter.
If we can, so we have two options, and
Okay,
if we can
got it.
start in May, if there's extenuating circumstances that prevent that, then we could figure it out. But I think we should make a good faith effort.
No, it's good
hit
it's
May.
good to put all these dates and significant milestones out on the table so folks understand why we're moving in the way that we're moving, because this news is 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
So
Can I just clarify, because
Yeah.
in the number of conversations when they reached out to me prior to December 12th, they were really encouraging that June, prior to June, because they
Yep.
really wanted to ensure that we are.
in terms of the funding or in terms of the school
that-
building
that
committee?
the feasibility piece.
Ah,
They really
got
just, even though we don't have to have it the date, I think they really wanted that reassurance that we are moving forward, and that's why they were encouraging the earlier date if possible.
Okay, so we should prioritize, we are going to prioritize
Yeah,
that.
we want to
for May
prioritize
town
it.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah, especially like, not saying that we're going in this direction, but if we needed to have a vote from the residents, getting that done sooner rather than later would be a good thing.
I would also throw out there, just as I work for a bank, so we're always worried about risk. If for some reason we were bringing this forward in May and there were going to be concerns by the residents, going forward in May gives us an opportunity, if it should
Yes.
run into some issues, to bring it back in October. So,
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
right. And there's always a special time meeting you can call to, but
Yes, we certainly
we know about those.
We can do that, but we want to try to avoid that if we can help
We
it.
do.
This is fun. Sorry.
The thing must die.
Right. Oi. All right. So, let's see. I mean, that's all I have right now is sort of talking through those things. But, and I think the main thing that we want to have coming out of this, I mean, obviously having, David as a point person, I think is important personally. And then I think having, starting to work on an MOU, starting to work together to sort of figure out what this looks like, what the school building committee looks like. So, I guess I put it out to you too. Who do you want to do it? Do you want me to do it? Do you want to do it? What do you two think from our
I
perspective?
think if we're talking about liaising, it probably falls between one of you two, right? More of a different kind of infrastructure. Do you guys have preferences?
I'm only thinking about the way we cycle through chairmanships. This will carry into the next chair's term.
Yep. Well, it's going to carry. I mean,
the
you
next-
think about this.
and the next-
You think about this.
No, I
you're talking
understand
about
that.
it's
No,
going to be
yeah,
years
of
and
course,
years.
of
So
course.
I think at a certain point we just sort of say, here's the person, and kind of move on from there.
I'm going to put my hand up because you'll be chair through till almost June 1st, and the lion's share of the work will be before June 1st. And I'm just thinking about the work of the chair in prepping for town meeting, and so I'm thinking about you, Ben, and I'm putting my hand up to say I'd like to do it, but
And I haven't said if
we're
I'm
not
running
looking for a
again,
vote
so.
here tonight. We're
No,
just looking
no,
for
no. I
interest.
think just sort of trying to think about it. I think we can do something more official in January. We sort of
Perhaps at least for another two chairs.
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. I mean, whatever we can throw to you, and you guys can have your conversation about. Obviously, posted, so you can certainly talk about whatever you want pertaining to this, if you so choose. But you can certainly we can talk about it in a couple weeks, like after you've had a meeting or two, to sort of figure out like how you want to approach it. If you want, a couple people, I think it'd just be good to start having those conversations, and we can set something up in like mid-January to get started on a process, like what it looks like if everybody's comfortable with that. Don't get too excited. It's palpable here.
We're
How excited.
excited. So incredibly, very incredibly.
Okay.
Did there have been discussion of a press release?
Yes, I think we did talk about. Do we have anything?
So we did one for this meeting, but it sounds like maybe the next steps, the press release for the post meeting, I guess, would be that the next steps would be for the select board and school committee to work together on the development of a school building committee.
Yeah,
Sounds right.
that sounds good.
And
And so I-
then,
And the other.
Yeah, then we had the thank you.
Yes. So
letters.
the other thing was, I know we had thank you letters to our legislators to look at, and I don't know. Did you guys see them? I don't remember if they were in your packets or not. Okay.
you forget to forward them.
Well, Frank got them too. So, but it's I will take the fall. It was on me that I should have.
Ben, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, however you wrote the thank you letters, perfectly fine. And
Yeah.
please send them.
I think we can send them probably as
You
is.
guys
I
are
mean,
the one that wrote them.
yeah. We'll just make sure that we're grammatically correct.
If you guys want to do non-substantive edits or whatnot, I mean,
Yeah.
they're very. I mean, just basically thanking them for the support that they showed us.
I think we can have a
writing their
vote
own
to
letters.
sort of say, like, we'd like to do that, and then we'll take a vote, and you guys can take a vote on your
Right.
behalf
And
to
maybe-
do it, and then we can
Maybe Frank can put it
just
on letterhead. And,
yeah, we can just put it on letterhead and put some signatures on it to send it out. So I'll do ours, and then you guys can do your vote.
And just to be clear, this is from the select board, the school committee, Dr. Kuska, and
Correct.
Frank, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Can I
Just-
just mention too, the Milford Daily News reached out the other day, so I think they're going to be doing an article soon
Okay.
as well. I think they took a picture today. So
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah, it's exciting.
but they, yeah, they
Was there an elf on high school at the time?
So I will take a motion to approve approve letters to our legislators, our state senator and state representative, thanking them for their help in this process to be accepted into the MSBA.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And that's with non-substantive edits, I should mention.
I'm just going to say that we have a family coming home now for the holidays, and so I have 4 Holliston High School graduates in my house, and they did ask what was going to happen to the ducklings at the new high school, whether we were going to keep the
You
space.
graduated too.
feasibility.
I
So
did.
must that be 5? That'd be 5 in the house.
Yeah, there are 5 Holliston High School graduates in the house, yes, but there were no ducklings when I was there, but there have been ducklings
fair.
for a number of years, and that was the question at the table tonight, is what's going to happen to
I
the
haven't
new
seen them
high
in a
school.
while, so
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
they're an annual spring recurrence, I think.
Okay.
Lots of excitement.
Probably part of the feasibility study. All the
Where
work
are the ducks going?
Does it make way for ducklings?
Yeah,
So.
make way for ducklings.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion to approve them as well?
Sure.
Make a motion to approve the thank you letters to our representatives, including non-substantive changes.
I'll wait. So much.
Second. And roll.
Roll call.
Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn's on.
Oh, Dawn is on? Okay.
Yes. I don't know if she's.
Dawn, are you listening?
You're on mute.
There she is.
Hello. Yes.
Okay.
Dan.
She said
Yes.
Yes.
Hillary.
Yes. Frank.
yes.
And I'm a yes.
Okay, great. So we get them out and signed and all that good stuff. And thank you, Dan. Thank you for putting that together. Appreciate it. We're talking about a lot of things here. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or
Next steps on the press release. What do you suggest, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't.
Did you, if that's all we want to include, I think it would be pretty bare bones, but I can circulate it to the chairs and
Sure. Okay.
sign off from there.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add, just not about the press release per se, but just as we go through budget season and we look at that, some things that Lexington and I think Mills also did it, which was interesting, is putting money aside. We have 3+ years until you even maybe seek it, sort of seek the debt funding. Then probably 2 more years until the building is sort of finished and you have to fully fund everything.
Yep.
So you really do have some runway to potentially build up a reserve to help inside the levy, put money aside to sort of allow the increase to step rather than shoot the roof. So just as we work through the budget process.
Yeah, and I think I've certainly had conversations with Frank offline about some similar things. I think there's opportunities for us to look for ways to manage the spikes from the borrowing to minimize the impact on the taxpayer. So I think we haven't put any pen to paper, but I think
No, that's yeah.
so but I think it is good to think about, and I think as we go forward, we can look to see what we can do over the next few years, because I mean this is going to dominate and this is going to be expensive for some people and all of us. Sure. So just being aware of it as much as we can to do what we can and plan ahead, I think, is a good thing.
Yep.
Any other?
I just
thoughts?
have one more thing.
Yes.
Just in terms of our community, I do know I've already received some, people reaching out saying, "Hey, I'm an architect. I have, experience, whatever." That will be to come. I think we will be involving community members in various, whether it's formally on the building committee or reaching out for various expertise. So just to let people know that.
Yeah, there'll be lots of opportunities.
I've got a running list already, so of people who've reached out, and we'll keep all of those people in.
And I think there's going to be lots of opportunities to participate, to help, to try to have their voices heard, lots of comments. I think there'll be plenty of chances for people, and this is going to be years long, and there's going to be lots of public outreach and forums. And
there's always Facebook.
Or not.
And I wonder, though, to Sarah's point, to her comment, is it worthwhile having Frank? I'm wondering if it's worth directing, either forwarding the emails or directing the individuals to Frank, so that you can start collecting interested candidates. We've done this again in other situations where if you're interested in being on, to contact the town manager, and then you can start collating and gathering those names. Sure. Would that be appropriate?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
I'm sure at some point we'll be reaching out more formally to ask for people's involvement. But
yes.
Just in the meantime, while we're getting, people are reaching out.
And I think there'll be lots of chances for people to do different things and to communicate with different groups and things like that. That's a great idea. I think we should do that. And then anything else here? I mean, anybody else? No? Okay.
Excitement level is very high.
We are so incredibly excited.
We're so excited, we're speechless.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but I mean, in all seriousness, this is an amazing opportunity for our town. It is going to be something that will help us. The district, the town, everybody. As we talk about the cost of this and to the taxpayer, there is the other side of it, which is
a lot of benefits.
which is all the benefits, and people will see some of that in
home
values and just
For sure.
And I hope we continue, our boards continue to talk like this and to have these kinds of conversations frequently. I think it's important for all the. I mean, we don't have to sing "Kumbaya" together, but we should at least be talking together and having conversations and making sure that we're both of our boards are aligned towards the process and making sure that we're moving forward. So I think David there's questions and things coming. We'll send them to you and to talk to the MSBA. Frank's going to start collecting names. So if anybody gets any names or people they want to help out or that have asked, we'll send them to Frank. And then we're going to send the letters to our legislators. We're going to come up with a press release. Sarah and I will review it just to make sure it's okay, and then we can get it out there. Probably one of many. And then in January, let's pick a couple people to kind of get together as like a working group to start ironing out what a school building committee looks like and things like that, to start having those conversations and start thinking about it. Did I get everything? I think. All right. Any last words? Anything?
Thank you.
Thank you very
And I
much.
appreciate it, everybody being on the calls, and I know.
And one thing too, just we're very grateful for your support for your support of the SOIs and the submissions over the years, and so thank you guys very much.
Our pleasure. We all benefit from this. So
Yeah, we do.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful evening. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Festivus.
All the things.
Hanukkah's over, but thank you.
Yes. All right. So let the room clear out. We can move on. next? All right. Now we're on to number 1.
Oh, yeah.
So let's begin with discussing select board policy priorities for May 2026 town meeting. Now, Frank, I think you'd sent out a spreadsheet that we could kind of chime in and interject on what our thoughts were about the number of different things that are out there, because we can't actually talk to each other about these things until we get here. So if you could just kind of give us sort of a brief summary of like what that looked like and what the results are, and we can start talking about what we're going to do for May.
So, just give me one. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Better? Awesome. So of the 10 to 15 different, I guess, priorities that we had talked about, there were 5 really that sort of rose to the top in terms of, I guess I'll call it level of excitement or priority. Just to run through them really quick, and then I can go back individually and talk about each of them. The wellhead protection bylaw, personnel bylaw changes, bylaw review committee, shifting the town clerk from an elected to appointed position, and the lemonade bylaw. So
now, is that so? The prioritization, that's our prioritization.
Yes.
That we put in there.
Yes.
What about you? What do you think here? Is there anything in there that you think that we should move or change here?
I think operationally or internally, I think the personnel bylaw changes are very important. They do require a town meeting vote, but I think while the financial impact might not be great, or it's not a huge financial impact. There is a financial impact to that, and making those changes will be a positive financial impact for the town. But I think also just in terms of some of the logistics that our departments have about managing sick time and managing how sick time is taken amongst employees, and how vacation is accrued and all of that, I think is sort of a little bit of cleanup that we should do. Mm-hmm. I also think one of the pieces that I'd like to focus on is allowing employees to use sick time to care for family members and loved ones. That's something that I think is actually also required by MGL, Mass General Law. And I think our bylaws could maybe just use, personnel bylaws, could just use an extra, fresh pair of eyes and just make sure that that type of stuff is again cleaned up.
And maybe we can, when the new HR person comes on board, they can take a look at those in the early days to make sure that if there's some low-hanging fruit or something else that we need to include in May, we can. Yeah.
And I think, hopefully this time next month, I will have a candidate for you to ratify as the assistant town manager.
Okay.
That is going very, very well. But, I don't want to put any bad karma out there by saying the name now.
Yep.
But yeah, that individual and I have discussed that this is a top priority for me. Okay. So yeah, that would sort of be of the ones on the list. Those are sort of my.
Well, and I was also asking, is there something that was not in those top ones that you say, this is something I think we need?
I think the sort of the debt stabilization outlook, I think, was the one that you just brought up. I think that's something that we should probably take a look at very closely. Okay. With the DPW and high school projects on the horizon, I think that we should look at what the resources that we have, the impact that that's going to have on the tax bill, and try to figure out ways to mitigate those spikes, as you put it.
Okay. So, question on that: would that be so within our fiscal policies, financial policies? Would this potentially be in addition to those policies? So it directs, it oversees, it gives guidance for how the finance committee, the select board, and the finance team.
I think it would probably be. I think there would be a policy component, but I think there would also have to be a town meeting article. But if we're kind of going in that direction, that it would be a stabilization for that purpose.
Oh, creating a stabilization fund.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think yes, there should be a policy aspect of it if we do go that route. I mean, we might see that we might not have to.
Right.
But I think we should have some kind of mechanism and maybe it is a policy and not, because you could make the argument that some of that could come out of capital.
Can you do a stabilization fund like that? So Keefe Tech did that. Town meeting approved the contribution of $75,000, I think it was.
The pension stabilization fund is a similar kind of concept.
But can you do that for municipal and school buildings combined? One stabilization fund that serves both purposes?
Yes, you could do it as a sort of you could just call it a generic debt stabilization fund.
Yeah.
Again, which would sort of smooth out some of those spikes.
Yeah. And I think we have work to do to sort of figure out what that looks like in terms of policy, in terms of article and things like that.
From a policy perspective, in many cases, the stabilization funds that we have aren't meant to be spent all at once. But for a debt stabilization fund, you might envision the entire balance being spent within 3, 4, 5 years.
And that debt stabilization fund, not to get too far off the track here, that also would be for other projects as well. So it's basically, if I have, and anytime the town is moving forward to borrow for a purpose, this fund could come into play. Okay, I understand.
The only thing is with the stabilization is that you need a 2/3 vote versus an appropriation. That could be smaller, and then that doesn't necessarily have to be excluded or not excluded. I mean, we'd have to sort of iron out what all those pieces look like, but I just think, and we don't have any language, we're just sort of spitballing.
Yeah, right.
But just thinking about, are there ways that we can set some money aside to make it a little less, to smooth out those crazy spikes for debt and borrowing. Anyway, sorry.
No.
We're talking about the other. We had the wellhead protection plan.
Yes.
Bylaw review committee, appointing the clerk, personnel bylaw changes, and what was the last one?
Lemonade
law.
Okay, lemonade law.
So the ball is kind of rolling on a few of these, and so it might be a good idea maybe in early 2026 to regroup, and I can run through some of these. So for the wellhead protection bylaw, we have an Envisioning Future Holliston subcommittee that's already actively working on this.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly of their timeline. Last time I spoke to Barbara Peaty, she was hoping to have something on the May 2026 town meeting warrant anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe we could target like a January, February timeframe for that subcommittee to come before the board and sort of update the board on where they stand, where their work's at, and if that May 2026 timeline is still
feasible.
reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that it would be premature to commit at all to this without actually knowing what they're talking about.
Right, and they might look at it and be like, there's too much work that we're going to be able to get this done, and I need more time. So.
Second is, we just discussed the personnel bylaw cleanup.
Yep.
I'm going to come back to the bylaw review committee. The town clerk conversation, I think we've sort of dabbled in a little bit already, so we've sort of walked through the process of what that looks like. This is something that even if we voted on it tomorrow, it would, by statute, would not take effect until after the current clerk's term, elected term has ended.
And it isn't there. There's also an elected component to it too, right?
Yes.
So they would have to go past town meeting, and then there would also have to be a ballot question.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so, I think the clerk is up for re-election in 2028.
I think she just had her election,
right.
This year.
So I think, there'd be a little bit more time before that would actually take effect.
Right.
But again, that seemed of interest to the board.
Yes.
And then the lemonade bylaw, I think, is a really, really good one. A way to not only teach younger residents about the process of how local government works, get them engaged, but also encourages entrepreneurship. So I think that one's going to require a little bit of a lift with not a lift, but I think the primary focus there will be me working with the Board of Health to figure out what the right steps will be there.
Have other towns done something like that? Have we found?
There's some in other states.
Okay.
Utah's got something like that, and it's basically the contours of it are generally that the thing that is signed is an acceptance of liability, so that the town is saying, hey, if you want to do this, it's kind of on you. But it really depends on the state laws as well, which is why I think we need to work closely with the Board of Health.
Yeah, and council.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think, then I'll go back now to the bylaw review committee. So this is a topic that was raised to myself and Liz Greendale by a couple of residents who are interested in potentially bringing forth a citizens petition in May. And so, given some of the conversations that that the board were having, I sort of put that on the radar as well as you were looking at policy priorities for 2026. So unsure if you want to treat this the same as the Envisioning Future Holliston suggestion, or excuse me, Wellhead Protection Bylaw Subcommittee. We have a group that's already sort of quasi working on this. They've sought research from myself and from Liz Greendale. And so, and I think Liz has gotten a wealth of information from her fellow clerks on how other towns do this. Are bylaw review committees only looking at existing bylaws? Are they sort of a sounding board for new bylaw proposals? Are they both? Who appoints them? All that type of stuff. So,
I think anything like that. I do think that there's value somewhat. I mean, I thought it was interesting looking at some other towns, things like that. They have like a warrant committee, so they would go through all of the articles in the warrant and stuff like that. And I mean, we had a governance committee, and it didn't quite work the way as intended. So trying to find sort of a place where this can be an effective tool, I think, is important, and then making sure that it has some sort of understanding what the role is. And I do agree that maybe we can wait till there's a proposal before we act or make any comments really about that. I think I'm intrigued, but I do kind of want to have
by way of a citizen petition. Do you mean a proposal, or through the clerk?
Well, I think the idea would be kind of like we talked about with the voting. I think they would bring something forward and say, do we want to sponsor and put it on the warrant, or they want them to go through a citizen petition process?
Okay, so there'll be feedback back to the residents who've approached you. Okay.
I think that's the way I see it. I mean, if somebody else has a different way, I think that would be fine. But I think we can look at a proposal before we move forward or decide.
Okay. So with the warrant closing, probably
mid-March,
first week of March, or first meeting of March.
Yeah.
I can communicate that now, and then
if they can have something like in the February time range, early mid-February, we can have a conversation about what that looks like and see what we want to do, and if there's more work to be done, or if it how we want to approach it.
Okay. So again, those are the ones that sort of rose to the top.
Okay.
Obviously, as bandwidth permits, we can look at others. But knowing that May,
we get a lot. May is going to be busy.
Pretty busy. Yeah. Just wanted to be
That's a lot of bylaws too, and they're all kind of in different places too. So I think putting too many forward can be problematic.
I guess if I may, my comment would be that the residents who reached out about the bylaw review committee, they get some what's the word I'm looking for? The board's interested is how I would phrase it for myself. Board's interested, some encouragement, because for me, looking at the list, and I spent some time talking to some residents. I sought their opinions on these proposals, and the general consensus was a bylaw review committee is where many of these should go to be further fleshed out. So for me, I saw the bylaw review committee as holding many of these on this list. So I would amplify, I would raise, in my mind at least, the bylaw review committee. So if we're going to go the route of having residents bring it forward as a proposal, I would ask that communication goes out strong.
I've talked to them, and I have said that. And
right.
I think what I've also think I've mentioned too, that I think they're adamant about bringing it forward in some capacity, and I think we just need to have something to look at before we can sort of judge whether or not this is great, we'll sponsor it, or what we kind of want to step back and let town meeting talk about it on its own.
Okay.
That's a good point.
So in terms of next steps, I think, Ben, one thing that you've mentioned is moving forward from now, between now and May, is sort of having a placeholder on the agenda for not only anything high school related or high school project related, excuse me,
yes.
But do we want to do the same for just sort of generic policy?
Well, I think what we do, what we could do, let's have we can have like a generic like MSBA updates, and it could be there's no updates this week, this session. I mean, especially when we're meeting every other week, there might be, we could get stuff caught in the middle there. And then similarly, I think maybe not in January, but certainly once we get into February, definitely having like town meeting should be a topic in every on every agenda, even if it's, there's not much to talk about. I mean, January there isn't really much yet, really. I mean, unless there's something specific that we need to discuss, I think we can hold off until February. But once we hit February, it should be a topic on every agenda, even if it's nothing new. Let's move on.
Okay. So I will work with the Wellhead Protection Bylaw Subcommittee, as well as the resident group currently working on the Bylaw Review Committee proposal, to see when they might be available. We'll target February.
Yep. Personal bylaw will probably be an HR function, and then we can work on it with the clerk to iron out some of those things. And I think, Damon, you're working on the lemonade law. So.
Yep.
Sorry, Tina. Left out.
Can work on it.
She volunteered for the high school. So
That's true.
I may still,
It's kind of a big deal.
Mr. Chair, I may still do a little bit of side work on the opt-in for public hearings on minor license changes things. It feels like a really, a thing that just needs like a little bit of research to figure out the legalities and where it might fall.
I think the lemonade law, I think, is going to be a little bit tricky. Not tricky, but it's going to take a little bit more work because there isn't a lot in Massachusetts, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the big area I point to is like, are there other towns that do something similar or have something similar? And then we can cop their language, and we know the Attorney General's already approved it. It's already kind of been vetted in some way, and then we can kind of customize it for Holliston going through council.
Totally fine.
But if it hasn't been there, it could be a big, I think it's a good idea, but I think, trying to basically design two from the ground up might be a little bit a big ask.
Could be hard.
But yeah, go ahead if you want to do a little more research. I don't
I'll poke
have
around a
any
little bit.
issues with it. What do you think, Tina, on
No comment. I was thinking something else.
Oh,
that? Okay.
you can go for it.
I was thinking that in March we have our state rep and our state senator come
Yes.
and meet with us, and that feels like a fine point on a calendar by which, if we're going to be considering bylaws changes, proposals for May town meeting, to have that buttoned up a little bit to present, to share with our state legislators, particularly when we're talking about something that will likely they'll be aware of if it's going to the AG's office, and as we do more research, we may find we need their support as well.
I like that.
And so keep just tracking that date when we typically, it's usually the second or third week in March where we have them come. And so as we pursue these proposals, these bylaw considerations, that we're keeping an eye on that date for something to be somewhat solid to share with them.
Yeah, I would hope that by the time we close the warrant, we're pretty well into having language, and we might just be tying up a couple little things. So I think, to your point, I think we would have it ready for that, and being able to discuss with them if we need to at that time.
They always show interest in governance at the local level, so it'd be a good topic to have on that for that meeting.
Totally.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else here? I don't think so.
Great.
Nope. I'm
We're
good. Nope.
Alrighty. All right. Number 2 at 7:50.
Yeah, how are we doing?
Actually, pretty well, because the first one is a big, long thing. So we're going to talk about the hazard mitigation plan. And this is always the joy of our evenings when we have Chief Cassidy coming forward. And I say that because for a long time when he would come forward, we were talking about COVID things, and as much as we enjoy talking to him, it could be very heavy. And
Lots of charts and graphs.
Lots of charts and graphs, but also we're talking about people's lives and that impact. And so, welcome.
Thank you
for coming.
Thank you for having me and including this on the agenda this evening, just to bring us back to how we got here tonight.
Sure.
The town is required to have a hazard mitigation plan. It's normally on a 5-year revision cycle. Our 2016 plan was completed by the Area Planning Council. They had a grant that they offered multiple area communities, and they did a whole bunch of plan updates and submitted those to MEMA, who then submitted them to FEMA for approval. When our 2016 plan was coming up for its 5-year revision, there was a federal grant program that I had applied for to offset the cost, since the Regional Planning Committee Council was no longer in the business of helping local communities with updating their hazard mitigation plan. And we were fortunate to receive funding as part of the Building Resistant Infrastructure in Communities, the BRIC program through the federal government. And so we went to town meeting, we got some matching funds. Then, as you referenced earlier, there was this worldwide health thing that was going on. So a lot of things were put off to the side. So by the time we issued an RFP, thank you to James Keast for helping to manage the RFP process, we did get a contractor who agreed to help us update our plan. We engaged with them. They were located out of Oklahoma. And last August, I brought to you the plan, which we reviewed with the vendor. We had some technical issues the night that she was supposed to be on board to chat with us, but we did talk about the plan and talked about the fact that it was to the point where we were comfortable sending it to MEMA for their review prior to it going to FEMA for their review. The board very presciently asked, how long will this take? We estimated, 6 to 8 weeks is usually the turnaround time. Well, here we are 14 months later, because that was August of 2024. It went to MEMA. We were in the queue behind several other communities who needed their plan to be reviewed. Then they had suggested that we make some revisions, which we did, non-substantive. And then it got sent off to FEMA, and we have a conditional acceptance from FEMA of the plan which has been submitted. But since it's been more than a year since the board voted, we would like a confirmatory vote so that FEMA recognizes that you're still on board with the 2025 hazard mitigation plan.
What are the conditions that
they needed the board to vote
so that's
more recently? Yes. Okay. It was just that it was like had this been 2 months ago, the FEMA would have had recognized your vote from August of 2024. But understanding that boards change and composition and people and priorities can change, they just wanted to make sure that the local authority is on board with the 2025 plan. In terms of the minor changes that were made from when we submitted for the initial review to MEMA and where we are today, they wanted a little bit more detail on what the status of the things that we'd identified in the 2016 plan, like what we'd done about that, worked with Rob Walker to identify a lot of the culvert improvements that we've done that were identified as priorities in 2016 plan. And then they just wanted a couple more things on maps. So the vendor worked with their mapping division and added a couple more maps. So they were non-substantive changes that were made. It was just so they could check the box.
Is there, the plan is on the website at this time, or not? Obviously not the 2025 because it hasn't been fully approved. But is the 2021?
The 16 would have been on the last website. Okay. I'm not sure with the new website, and we were limited to the number of files that we moved over.
Okay.
But certainly, I have no problem with us publishing the 2025 plan.
Okay.
Should the board vote this evening, and we be able to tell FEMA, because that's the last thing from it being an approved plan as far as they're concerned.
Gotcha. Tina, any thoughts, comments?
No, just yes, one question. What happens after it's approved? So we vote tonight, it's approved, and then what changes or what happens?
So then with compliance, it makes us eligible for some grant opportunities, which is always a good thing for us. And then it can be similar to the way a strategic plan is used to evaluate certain initiatives that come forward. And folks always want to know, like, is this identified in an existing strategic plan? And that can be used as a determining factor when funding is being sought. So as projects move forward in town that might have an impact on us mitigating natural hazards in the community, it's advantageous for us to be able to say, well, it was identified in the 2025 plan, therefore we should be, moving forward with these initiatives.
So will not change operations, may change budget requests.
It could bolster budget requests.
Okay. And would be an important document for, say, a new building.
Oh.
Through the building process, we would want to be reviewing that to the extent that it speaks to natural disasters only?
Primarily. Natural, a little bit of man-made, but certainly as it relates to areas prone to flooding, which has been an issue with a previous educational facility location.
Okay.
But yes, there are some of the maps and the inundation maps and the historic flooding events all could be taken into consideration if we're looking at citing a different municipal building.
Okay. Okay, you know, we always want to do our part to not allow plans to sit on a shelf untouched, unused. So it's helpful to hear your thoughts on how a hazard mitigation plan should be used in a community. So those are where my questions were coming from. No concerns at all about this.
Okay.
Yeah, Tina already hit my primary question, which was around the budgeting implications, which you answered, so no concerns on my end.
No, and I appreciate all your leadership and hard work on this, so thank you very much for all that.
Yeah, thank you.
I believe there's a resolution that we need to...
Would you like me to read the resolution and then the board vote, or the board vote and then we read the resolution?
I think probably read the resolution and vote on the as resolved.
Yes.
Please, and thank you.
Okay. Certificate of adoption as read. Town of Holliston, Massachusetts, a resolution adopting the Town of Holliston Hazard Mitigation 2025 update. Whereas the Town of Holliston established a committee to prepare the Town of Holliston Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 update, and whereas the Town of Holliston Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 update contains several potential future projects to mitigate potential impacts from natural and man-made hazards in the Town of Holliston, and whereas duly noticed public meetings were held by the local hazard mitigation planning team on August 5th, 2025, and tonight, December 22nd, 2025, and whereas the Town of Holliston authorizes responsible departments and or agencies to execute their responsibilities demonstrated in the plan, and now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Holliston adopts the Town of Holliston Hazard Mitigation Plan 2025 update, so moved for adoption.
With one correction, you read August 5th, 2025. It should be August 5th, 2024.
Correct.
Seconded.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Excellent. Thank you
very
all so
much. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on to number 3. Vote to approve the Housing Trust sale of 31 Regency Drive. Frank, do you have some information you can share with us about this?
Yes, this is sort of a housekeeping item. So if you recall the meeting that we had before town meeting, we authorized the Housing Trust to purchase 31 Regency Drive, and the motion, sort of a, I don't know if it's an oversight or not, but the motion should have or could have read allowing the purchase and sale of 31 Regency as opposed to just the purchase of 31 Regency. So the Housing Trust is now selling the unit back. They bought it for about $140. They're selling it for about $150, which roughly ties to the amount of money that they put into the unit for some basic repairs.
Okay.
So that agreement will take effect in January. However, we technically needed the vote to actually reflect the Housing Trust's ability to sell the unit.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
You would like an additional motion that includes simply the sale. We already have the original motion that had the purchase.
So
Okay.
motion to permit the Housing Trust to sell 31 Regency Drive.
Okay. David?
I'm into it.
Excellent.
Just being honest.
All right. I will take a motion to approve the Housing Trust sale of 31 Regency Drive.
I mean, with Damon's overwhelming endorsement there, move to approve the Housing Trust sale of 31 Regency Drive.
Seconded with vast enthusiasm, I guess.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll have to start being more like Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's okay. I'll do it. Let's do it.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. All right. Here we go. Moving on to public comments. Would anyone in the room like to make public comment this evening? You are welcome to come on forward if you'd like to. Don't all get up at once. Okay. Anyone on the Zoom like to make public comment this evening? You can raise your hand under the reaction button. Doesn't seem like we're going to have any. But I will also remind people that if you think of something later or you missed your opportunity to speak at this time, you can certainly email the town manager's office and indicate that your comments are for public comment, and we can read them into the record at a future meeting. that's also available as well. Anyone else? One more time? Okay. Warrants. Frank.
We have had 2 warrant signs since your last meeting, December 8th, or it was dated December 8th, 2025. $1,420,241.39. The second, December 15th, $3,224,621.74.
Questions or comments about the warrants?
No.
Okay. Select board member updates.
I have 3 comments. First, Ben, I'd like to thank you. You have been doing the lion's share as chair of the select board in coordinating and communicating on a number of issues. This board, in the past 6 months, has had significant topics to consider. 40B housing, we've had the MSBA acceptance, we are moving forward with the DPW, and a whole host of other responsibilities that fall to the chair. And I just want to thank you for the leadership you've demonstrated in those meetings and representing the board so well and communicating well with Frank. It is not unnoticed how large of a responsibility that is. So I wanted to call that out in public. Thank you. I also would like to thank our public safety crews from Friday night. That was an impressive and perhaps, from where I sat at least, unexpected windstorm. We're talking about hazard mitigation tonight. We know that every community is exposed to extreme weather. We certainly experienced that here in Holliston on Friday, and I don't know from having spoken to the chiefs and our DPW director directly, but I understand from what we heard through Frank and from the community at large that it was a major event. And when those events happen, you think of the safety of the people who are working on behalf of the rest of our safety. So I just wanted to share that this board was very much thinking of you, our public safety crews that were out on Friday, and want to thank you for your service to the town, because they were dangerous conditions with the wind, the down power lines, and just the overall extreme weather event that it was. So thank you. And then finally, I'll be talking to Chief Cassidy, because I got word from a resident on another really positive experience that a resident had through our EMS services, so I might be bringing something back to the board. But these things don't go unnoticed in our community, and so just thanks across the board. That's all I have.
Okay, great. David?
Minor brief. I'm just, as we sit here listening to all the different plans coming through this board and other boards, we're kind of heading towards an infrastructure renaissance for the town. We're talking about the sewer. We're talking about a new school. We're talking about a new DPW, and that's just the most obvious ones. I think that there's a lot of work for all the different parts of this town coming up in the next year to 5 years, and I'm gratified that we have really capable people, including everyone who's here tonight. It's just worth noting that we're probably heading for a bit of stress. So I think as long as we work ahead, really practice fiduciary discipline, and think about the best interest of the town, as Ben would always tell me, I think we're going to be okay. But I think there's a lot of work coming, and we just got to let's buckle in, because I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Great. Okay. I get a few updates. The first is we had a budget meeting with some different actors from the schools, from the finance committee, from the town side, just talking about some general things and trying to look at the landscape for FY27. Nothing really substantive to share from it, but just sort of to mention to everybody that we're looking at some different things. And
say FY27?
Yeah, for next year. And thinking about there could be opportunities for sharing information through some sort of a tri-board meeting. I think, it's brought to my attention frequently. I was at this meeting, so there was the last tri-board meeting we had did not go very well. Because I think we didn't have clarity on what the intent was, and I think it's important that a tri-board be an opportunity for sharing information, and particularly from staff and the experts in our town. And I think there could be an opportunity there to make sure that everybody understands the landscape and things like that. So that still hasn't. There's no date yet. Still trying to push on that. If we don't get a tri-board meeting, at least the information should be disseminated from a centralized point and given to all relative stakeholders. Second thing is just to put on your radar, I kind of mentioned this before, we're talking about, and we're getting into the budget season. What this board has done in the past is had like our summit where we brought in all of our departments to talk about their budgets, and I'm trying to bring in the finance committee into some of that. I think there's a lot of budgets that are small budgets that the presentations are the same, and if we can find ways to economize time and things like that for people, for the department heads, for the finance committee, for us to basically have an opportunity to sort of work through some of those things in a collaborative way, I think we can save some time for a lot of people in that regard. So we don't have all the clarity yet, but I think we have some things to iron out, and I just kind of want to put it on your radar now to start thinking about it. And as we get a little closer, probably in January, we can sort of say, like, here's some of the challenges we want to work through to sort of see like what this looks like to ensure that it's a smooth occasion, and we're not turning it into a 3-day gala event, which we want to avoid. But, you know, if there's ways that we can do it and sort of make sure that we're best use of everyone's time and things like that. So,
are we still looking at a Saturday?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it would still be a Saturday.
family calendar, but the fight's getting harder.
I know. I think it should be a Saturday. I think the main issue, basically, sort of, I'll show the cards now, is that the finance committee doesn't review doesn't review budgets unless we have approved them. Right. Our budgets unless we've approved them. So, there's a couple different ways that we could handle it, but I just, we sort of need to say, like, it could just be as simple as the person presents the budget. We say, yes, the finance committee can ask questions and talk about it. Or we could have some other sort of a way to do it. But we don't have to do that right now. I just want to put it on your radar to think about. We'll talk about more in January. Third thing is I know this is something you've asked a couple times about bringing the Historical Commission back to talk about that census. Yes. With some of the things that have been going on, we've kind of had to push them into January. So we've penciled them in for January 12th and to be at that first meeting in January to talk to us. I think that's sort of an opportunity I wanted to bring up, talking with them about master planning and how, because there is a historical component to our master plan. And talking to them, I've talked to them, Frank and Sarah, about what that looks like and the historical nature of things, and trying to sort of understand a little bit more about, is it the master plan, the things that were historical in nature, were they all finished and everything's great? Were they not finished and why? And is it, there's something we need to revisit there. So I want to have that conversation on the 12th.
They make a really bad joke about time being on their side. So January's fine, but it's not a good joke. So.
Okay. It's all good. It's not 9 o'clock yet, so we can still make the jokes. The last thing is I'd like to sort of talk a little bit more, in January, we can talk a little bit more about DPW oversight when we're talking about these things. I mean, James is doing the lion's share, and I think there needs to be a little bit more input to help him and to make sure, because he's got a day job too, and I don't want him worrying about these things that I would like to sort of figure out. We talked about having a committee. Let's bring this back forward in January so we can say, like, what does that look like? We need to sort of have some sort of a structure to arrange that, because I don't think we should be doing it, but I think there needs to be some kind of a group, and it's a big enough deal that there should be some kind of DPW committee that's sort of overseeing the process. We can talk about that in January. Just wanted to bring it to your attention. And that's all I got. All right, I'll finish with select board member updates. Comments from the town manager, Frank.
I will keep it very brief. Just a quick update on town hall hours for this and next week. This week, as in years past, town hall will close at noon on Wednesday, December the 24th, and reopen on Monday, December 29th for normal business hours. And then next week, town hall will close at noon on Wednesday, December 31st, and reopen on Monday, January 5th. A reminder that trash pickup will also be delayed this and next week. Thursday pickups will take place on Friday. I'm actually going to miss this year, but just a reminder about one of my favorite events of the year in Holliston is the First Night Rail Trail Walk that will take place on December 31st from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Ringing the new year with a favorite regional tradition, a walk along the Holliston Rail Trail. This is actually really cool. This year the walk is being extended and will span the section from the Placentino School on Woodland Street to Blair Square to Mill Pond, which is just past Cross Street, where you can light a candle, make a wish for the coming year, and set a float on the pond. And thanks, as always, to the Friends of the Rail Trail for putting on that event. It's really, really cool. With snow in the forecast tomorrow, just a reminder that a sand and salt mix bucket is available for residents to use at the highway garage on Arch Street, so feel free to utilize that if needed. And with that, we just wish everyone a very safe and healthy and happy rest of the holiday season and Happy New Year. As we discussed earlier, 2026 is going to be a very busy and exciting one in Holliston. And to kick it off, the Select Board will meet next on January 12th, 2026. And thank you again, as Tina mentioned, to our police, fire, and DPW departments for all their work over the their long weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Nope. Board business, consent agenda. So it's a seasonal population increase estimation form and a renewal certification for 2026 who failed to renew. And I believe that it looks like the only non-renewal is Bertucci's Restaurant. Mm-hmm. Why?
It's a spirit Halloween.
Well, it's not going to be a spirit Christmas.
4 months.
Any objections to having that be part of the consent agenda? Okay.
Just caught on the estimation, the population estimation increase estimation form. It's 15,139 residents.
And I think we get one and then an additional one for every 5,000 residents, I think it is. So I think it's 4 total, but then we had a couple that we've had by town meeting to add.
Would you like
yes.
the motion to, Frank, anything you would, I'll just go ahead and read the
Yep.
motion.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. We're all set with the consent agenda. Any other business?
2 comments from me. Frank, I will be sending you an email. I was contacted by the president of the Friends of Trail Committee, Friends of the Trails, rather, regarding first night. They had a couple questions, so I'll be forwarding that to you. And I did direct Georgiana to reach out to you if you haven't already heard from her.
We talked earlier this afternoon.
Okay, all right. And then thank you for considering me for the working group with the school committee. I am really interested in it. It is exciting work, and I'd like to be a part of it. I liked Dan's comment about an interim building committee. We've talked about a building committee here. You brought it up a few moments ago in terms of the DPW. I thought his idea was clever, and I wonder if that's something that we should consider, is starting a building committee that either grows into or forms as an example for a school building committee. So I'm intrigued by that idea. I wonder if that's something we should consider sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Just food for thought.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can talk. I think when we can get a little bit more into the weeds on it in January, when we start doing that, maybe on the 12th, we can talk about it a little further.
Sure.
Damon?
Nothing here.
Nothing?
Yeah, keep it brief. There's not much to go.
I thought I had one more thing, and I'm trying to remember if it's here. No.
I lost Donna. I don't have it, but I can.
Okay.
I can just take it.
Okay. All right. Frank, do you have any other business?
None from me, no.
All right, and I do not either, so I think we will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Holliston, we are adjourned at 8:24 p.m. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Hope you have a wonderful, happy, and safe holiday season, and we will see you on January 12th at our next meeting. Thank you.
Recording stop.